Some people say it's in the way that I walk. By Friday night, it's in the way that I talk. It comes out when I'm drinking and the buzz starts to kick. And it's a whiskey rattle from morning to night. The whiskey rattle from morning to night. Makes me not wanna work 9 to 5. Some people say it's a problem, but everyone's got 'em. It's the whiskey rattle from morning to night. The whiskey rattle from morning to night. There ain't nothing like a Saturday morning.
See, like nobody knows that.
Nobody will ever know. That's it. That's it. So you've been house sitting for a couple days? You said you went partying out in Perth, Ontario? What were you doing out there?
I just wanted to get out of the house.
Yeah?
It's like, we'll see something new. I love meeting people, so I just like,
That's awesome. And you're
That's
just on your
awesome.
own in this club. Why not?
Where'd you go?
The Rock and River Cafe or something.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever been there. My mom and I used to go there all the time. It's right in the town. It's like a block parallel to where I used to play all the time.
Oh, yeah?
What's it called now?
What?
The Broken Arrow.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
there's
okay.
a red,
like-
red
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
What's the red place?
The red brick building, right?
Yeah. And it's like right on the corner, and this is like right across the street. There's a little, the realty brokerage is right there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's right at the end of Drummond Street, so right after
Okay.
My dad, not too far away from my dad.
Oh,
the
okay.
right down the
Okay.
street from you.
Is it beside what was that dive bar called?
The Broken Arrow? Oh, no, the Imperial?
Yeah, no. Above the car wash.
Oh, the Shark's Tank? Or
The Shark Tank or something. Yeah, that's right.
okay, I saw that.
There was a dirty bar out there. It was sketchy.
Remember I played there once?
Yeah, well, so she played there once, right? And the guy came up to us and he's trying to tell us, this is how it's going to go. This is where she's going to play, and blah, blah, blah. And he's just like, he looks at her. He's like, if there's a fight, he's like, just keep playing. But where she was playing it was the same dance floor. Like, it was just one big dance floor, and she's playing in a corner of it.
Yeah.
And then everyone else is kind of dancing around her. So it's not like she's on like a stage
No,
or elevated or anything. And I looked at him. I was like, if there's a fight, we're getting the fuck out of here, dude.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
kidding.
It's like, what the hell's the matter
he
with
looks at
you?
me, he goes, absolutely not. You're not gonna keep playing. If
Yeah.
there's a fight.
Yeah. I was like, there's no way, man.
I don't
It's
think
like
there
Roadhouse.
was.
all
I
over
know.
again.
It's like, what the hell? So bring that mic up closer to you.
Better?
Perfect. There you go.
Yeah?
There you go. So you
Okay.
see here, so on the right is what's actually being recorded.
Okay.
And on the left is where the next video that I'm going to do.
Okay.
So on the right, when I open up this file, will come up everything right there.
Right.
So on the left is I can post up. So if I'm talking to you,
Yeah.
and I know I'm going to be sending in a response, and the video's on you right now,
Right.
I put myself on the left and I press transition, then it would record on the right.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, just so you know. So everything on the right is what we're recording.
Should I be looking at that?
No,
or no?
well, you don't have to.
Okay,
you don't
good.
have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just do it because it's just cameras and just so much shit.
Right.
It's hard to multitask. You know?
Yeah. We're meant
I
to.
know.
Yeah.
God damn.
I should be doing
God
that.
damn.
Most
Bring this
of the
one
time.
closer to you too, if you can.
I notice sometimes I do 4 things at once.
I know. Come up closer.
I'll be driving, singing to Zane, trying to take my brains out.
Wow. That actually sounds dangerous.
Sorry.
Brains, I don't need those for driving. No. Just put them on the side passenger seat there. We'll be good.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I've done it.
Jesus.
Jeez Louise.
So, Chile?
Chile.
Tell me about Chile. You want to go back?
I do want to go back.
Yeah?
Yeah. It wasn't like even 4 weeks was not enough time. Like, it's such a big country.
Yeah. And you were saying, what was the width and the...
So it's as long north and south as Canada is wide.
That's crazy.
Right.
So instead
That's
of
crazy.
horizontal, it's vertical.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because Canada's huge.
It is huge.
Yeah, that's it.
And here's the other kicker for Chile that I didn't know about. I learned this right before I went down there was
Yeah.
that Easter Island is owned by Chile.
Oh, wow.
Oh, really?
It's part of Chile, but it's in the middle
Easter
of the
Island.
Pacific.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So when you look at the map, like
Yeah.
Chile is technically directly under Ontario. Okay.
Oh, really? Okay.
But 2 hour time difference. They were ahead 2 hours because of the time zones, the way they
Okay.
work, right?
Okay, yeah.
And then Easter Island is like right under BC. So if you
Okay.
want
Oh,
to
shit.
travel to be like, if you want to go there, you have
Yeah.
to literally fly from Santiago over the ocean for 4.5 hours
Oh, damn.
to
Wow.
get to Easter Island.
Damn.
Yeah, so that's like that's a
wild.
separate trip right there on its own
Yeah.
because you're like it's like traveling to Vancouver. Like you're not just gonna go to Vancouver for the day and then fly
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
No.
So
So what's the significance of Easter Island?
that's where the stone heads are.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's Easter Island.
Oh, that's
Oh,
cool.
shit,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah. So all those stone heads, like there's like a huge
that's
like
neat.
history of like why they're there, and like the Chileans know it too.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was so wild. And like there's the Atacama Desert, which
Yeah.
is the driest desert in the world, and the topography of it looks like the moon.
Oh,
Wow.
really?
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
like so when
cool.
you're there, like there's
That's
like
fucking
craters, there's like
That's fucking
Oh,
cool.
it's so
that's
wild.
So you want to...
I want to hit that.
Go.
Yeah, I want to hit that. I want to hit Patagonia. Patagonia's south, and that's
Yeah.
close to Antarctica.
Oh, my
shit.
God. Can
Yeah,
you
like
imagine Antarctica?
That'd be
because
beautiful.
penguins.
Penguins.
Well,
Yeah.
penguins are native to Chile.
Oh,
are they
shit.
really?
What?
They're native to Chile too because they're so close to the Antarctic.
wow.
Oh, damn.
So
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Me
I
neither.
did not know
That's
that.
neat.
The things that like when I went to
little
buy
things.
souvenirs,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
you see penguins, you see the stone heads, and you're just like, why?
Like,
That's
what?
amazing.
Right? Yeah, it was eye opening, but it was so beautiful to see. Like because their weather patterns are like
Yeah.
ours, right? Like they're so different north
Yeah,
to
yeah,
south.
Wow,
Because
okay.
the souther you go, the colder it gets.
That's
the
wild.
mountains
Ugh.
are just beautiful because it's the Andes Mountains all the way down.
That's
Wow.
wild.
So yeah,
So
it was
you were
really
there
wild.
For 4 weeks?
Yeah, I was there for
Wow,
4 weeks.
that's great.
Yeah.
If you can go and spend the time and actually do, like, I always find that trips can be not long enough
Yeah.
Yeah.
to experience the whole culture, especially if it's a, huge country. Like, we were just in Jamaica.
Yeah.
But, for our all-inclusive trip.
Yep. Yep.
And it was amazing, but we were there for a week.
Yeah, see I love the idea of going to resorts, but you don't get the culture.
Yeah.
You
Well,
get
Right.
you get the
Yeah.
Americanized
Yeah,
box
and that's
in that
what
country.
That see, and
He
that's
loves
it with
culture.
me, and that's what I love. Like, I want to go and feel the town. You know what I mean? I want to go
Yes.
check out the town. I want to take a look and see how some of these people live, or whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
He
it just,
loves
I
us.
love it. I love
So
it.
a little trick I learned, AI.
AI.
Oh,
Use that to plan your trip.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. Like because I put in like I'm like, okay, I'm going to Chile for 4 weeks. Give me
Yeah.
an itinerary of things I want to see in
Yeah.
like Santiago. And,
Yeah.
And then it's like, like I'm going to Europe in the summer, and we did like okay, what's the best tour to do so that we're like really efficient on time.
smart.
And
Yeah.
AI did it for us. They're
Damn,
just like,
that's cool.
fly into
That's
here
sick.
and do
That's
this. And I'm
sick.
like, oh my God, this is great. Give me 3 things to do in
That's
this
sick.
city while
Yeah.
I'm there for 24 hours. Oh, you could go do this. You could go do this. You could go do this. And I'm just like, man, AI is
I never
amazing.
thought you could do that. I never thought you could do
ChatGPT,
that.
I use it a lot
Yeah.
now. I'm like, make me a marketing strategy for a song
Oh
called
yeah,
Whiskey Rattle.
It's
Yeah.
good one, a marketing
And they
strategy,
do.
yeah.
But-
and it
Yeah.
does. It's like Whiskey Rattle, this new exciting song by Brea, and like, it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
You can market it like this and this and this and this and different like it's just wild.
I love AI because you can collaborate with it. Like
Yeah.
you can work
Yeah.
with it.
Like it's
Yeah.
a person.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. And they don't talk
Artificial
back.
intelligence.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Oh,
They don't
that's
They're
talk
not
back.
mean and they
That's
don't
it.
judge.
That's
No,
it.
no, exactly. But that's the thing is like it's like a friend of mine opened my eyes to the AI for travel because he's like, that's
Yeah.
what I do, and I'm like,
Dude, that's
what?
so smart.
Yeah.
Like the things
so
you don't
smart.
think about using it for. So
Yeah, that's it. Because we haven't had that before in our
No.
lives. Like,
Yeah.
how are our
I
brains-
want to talk Europe.
Europe.
This summer?
Yeah.
Are we just diving right in?
Oh, we've been recording for the last 10 minutes.
Oh, wicked.
Okay.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Distillery.
See, that always happens, and I'm never sure how to
Yeah.
just kind of go with it.
I find
So-
it the best way because we were just kind of talking as we were setting up,
Right.
So it was just gradual,
It's
like set
very
this, so it just becomes keeps
conversational, yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
It just stays as a conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, welcome. We have a special co-host today.
We have a guest
Lucas
today.
Burns.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah. Good to see you, buddy. Glad you were
He's
able
our
to come
broker.
out.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's right. That's right.
I take care of their house.
That's
so
it.
that they
Yeah.
don't have to worry about anything else. So it's perfect.
Perfect. You
Yeah.
like that? Better
Yeah.
angle?
Yeah. Is
that good?
Perfect.
It shows my hair better, I think.
Oh, there it is.
There we
Who's
go.
that
There's
pretty fucking
a little
face?
bit more color.
Yeah. That's
Look
it.
at our nice
That's it.
video.
I love
and
it.
With the wine sign up there.
Hey,
Yeah.
Wine, oh wine.
I got another.
Wine
You know
not.
what? I bought that at Giant Tiger. It was $4, and then I got another like poster that just has records.
Yeah.
And it was another like $4 or something like that. So I want to try and set them all up in here. And I'm gonna eventually take this wall down too. Now I just built it like fucking a month ago.
Yeah.
But I want to take it down. It's getting tight in here.
Now he's like,
So
oh.
we have just so much stuff, and I didn't realize it was just going to be so much stuff.
Right.
Just as long as this area looks nice and professional for the camera.
Yeah, that's it.
That's why we have
Well,
this
you guys got a great
beautiful
setup down
pop-up-
there.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Pop-up,
Yeah.
or pop-up.
I want to talk about Europe. Europe?
Yeah.
What's up with Europe? Like, what's...
So one of the biggest things, because of my coaching,
Yeah.
like I always
Mm-hmm.
tell people that like you have to do things to energize yourself, right? Because there's so much negative energy in the world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't take that time to do things that fill your cup,
Yeah.
then what's the point of all the work we do?
Motherfucker.
Exactly.
Right?
Smart
Yep.
ass.
So
It's true. That's what they say. That's what they say about parenting too. You
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
look after another person if
Without
you don't
taking
look
care of
after
yourself.
Yeah.
first, yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I preach that a lot because people forget. Like one of the biggest things I hear people say is like, you know, I don't do this for myself, I don't do this for myself, or do that for myself. And I'm like, okay, let me ask you something. How easy is it for you to tell Attic you love him? Easy, right?
Yeah.
Very easy.
Yeah.
How hard is it for you to do it to yourself?
Yeah.
It's hard.
That's
Right.
wild.
So if you think about that, right? Like if you think about the fact that we can't even tell ourselves that we love ourselves, but we're easy to give it out.
Yeah.
Why?
That's
Like how do
crazy,
we
I know.
change that
Yeah.
pattern to, you know, feed ourselves so that we can feed other people,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? That
That's fair.
positive energy.
Yeah.
So for me, like I went through a divorce 4 years ago. I was married 21 years. And
Wow. 21 years. That was
Wow.
like my parents when
Yeah.
they got divorced.
yeah, and it was a beautiful story, just a shitty ending, right?
Yeah.
And that's how I
Just
look
a
at it.
shitty ending.
It was a
That's it.
shitty ending to the book, and I was
That's
like,
it.
well, let's just close that book now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Another
But-
chapter.
But exactly, it's about starting a new chapter,
Yeah.
right? So I said to
Yeah.
myself, like, I have to, like, I was 47 years old, never single. So
Oh,
I'm like,
okay.
who is this guy? Like, I don't know who this guy is. Like,
You're
I've
always
never.
just trying to mirror someone else that you're trying to
Yeah.
be there for.
Right.
You're not thinking of yourself, and yeah.
Yeah. So I said to myself, like, what do I do to get to know me? And a friend of mine that I met on my first trip after my divorce, she's become my best friend. And she's like, hey, I'm going to Montreal for a rave. Why don't you join
Rave.
me? And I'm
Rave in
like,
And
Montreal.
so have you raved before?
when I was like a teenager,
Okay.
right?
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But a short while.
Yeah. Wasn't my
5 years
intention.
ago.
Now that you bring it up.
But the thing is that I love music, and
Yeah.
she's like, why don't you just come and experience it? And so I did, and it literally changed my life.
That's
like,
awesome.
It was the vibe of the people.
Yeah.
There was no hate.
Yeah.
Like there was no
Yeah.
anger. It was like just this like
Yeah.
uplifting, upbeat
Yeah.
music, and everybody's dancing
Yeah.
and hugging, and like
Yeah.
you'd think it was like what was it in the '60s there, Woodstock, right?
Woodstock,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
It was
Yeah,
a love
yeah, yeah.
fest. It was
It was
really
a love fest, even
That's
though
awesome.
people were
I love
dying
that.
in the mud.
Right. Well,
love
you know,
that.
somebody's got to go, right? So,
Not everyone's
fine.
gonna make it.
Fine.
but so the thing is that like the music really energized me.
Yeah,
And I noticed
And
it
that's what
right
music
away.
Is supposed to do.
Exactly, because it literally takes you out of everything, right? And so I started dancing a lot more. I was starting to get in shape,
for
and I was
you.
like, I was loving the vibe. So
Yeah.
then I was like, okay, how do I incorporate that with travel?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, why don't I just look for festivals around the world
Yeah.
and go do that
That's
instead of
sick.
sitting in a resort like we
Yeah.
were just talking
Yeah, yeah,
about?
yeah.
Because
Well, you get to experience it like this.
you get the people,
Yeah.
you get everything.
Yeah.
So one of the greatest things, like in Chile, before we get to Europe, in Chile, okay, we went to Picnic Electronic. Have you ever heard of Picnic
No.
Electronic?
No.
Okay, so
festival?
It's a festival,
Okay.
but it started in Montreal,
Oh wow.
Oh, okay.
and every weekend they have DJs, artists that come to the island, and there's always a show.
Nah, nice.
Oh,
But
shit.
the vibe is wild. Like just not like crazy party. People just go dance, listen to music, jump around, right? And it's
Yeah.
on the island. It's really cool
wild.
vibe. It's super cheap to go to.
That's wild.
But
Cool.
what I didn't know is that Picnic Electronic has expanded around the world. They're now in 7 countries.
Oh wow, Picnic
I
Electronic.
know. I
Yeah.
want
What
to
a
Google
name.
this.
So when I was in Santiago, Chile, Well, Picnic Electronic happened that weekend.
Perfect.
Oh, did you know before you went?
No.
You did it.
Even
damn.
better.
Damn.
It was so
Damn.
cool. And
That's serendipity right
Yeah.
there.
right? So the greatest thing is that everybody that went to Picnic Electronic in Montreal in September, the girl that I met on my travels, she got married. And she
Okay.
was in Toronto for her wedding, and then we all went to Montreal to see Boris Brea. And he's like a big German DJ, like
Okay.
one of the top German DJs
Oh,
in
really?
the world. Amazing.
He came to Montreal?
Came to Montreal.
Okay.
Nice.
The two of our friends, when they bought their tickets, they were drunk, and they bought the meet and greet with them.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I was like, that is so cool.
I love it.
Yeah, and they got to meet him, which was really awesome. But the vibe when you walk in, like imagine like it's a park, right? Like trees, tents everywhere, and then you got your DJ booth,
Yeah.
right? Like just
Yeah.
one big stage for the DJ. And like the vibe you get in there is just so relaxing.
Oh, I
You're
love
just
that.
like, I go to the bar, get a drink, sit under a tree, listen to the music
Oh,
or
that's
dance or whatever you want to do. When we went to Chile, I literally thought I was in Montreal.
Oh, it was
Oh,
the
is
same.
it the same vibe?
That vibe was
Yeah.
just
That's
so
awesome.
perfect that I was just like, man.
Is this an all-day thing? It was like a...
Usually like afternoon, so like 2 o'clock until 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then everybody just goes, and then after parties, right?
After parties, yeah.
Did you go to an after party?
Yeah, we went and
Yeah,
partied
yeah.
afterwards.
How
There
was
was
it?
what was it? Bob Sinclair. Have you
Bob
ever heard
Sinclair,
of him?
yeah.
Yeah, so Bob Sinclair was playing at another venue
Oh,
after
shit.
Picnic
Oh, that's
Electronic.
perfect.
So it was just
So you're
like,
like-
go from one to the other.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
You know those festivals? They like obviously they do it specifically. They create that to have that vibe.
Yes.
Because there's so many there because that's where people go. People
Yeah.
go. Because if you ask anyone who loves a festival, why do you love festivals? They're always just like, I love the vibe.
Yeah.
I love the
Yeah.
festival air. I love, the vendors and,
Yeah.
you just go get a drink and sit wherever you want and just be front row or not.
Right. Yeah, but you can make anything
You
a
can
good
make-
experience if you try, right?
Oh,
And-
100%.
And like when we got to Picnic Electronic in Chile, like we have a guy that we hang out with. He's one of the people that I've met along my travels, and he travels around the world.
That's
We all just
wicked.
meet in different places.
Nice.
And his name is Kevin. I love this guy. Like he is just and he's actually the
love
one
this.
coming with me to Europe. We're
Oh,
gonna
really?
Yeah, we're gonna
Cool.
tour
Oh,
around
that's
Europe
awesome.
together. But
Yeah.
he's like, we're like, okay, we need some food before we go start dancing, and so we find this little vendor, and it's called Kevin Bacon. And it's a burger joint, but it's called
I love
Kevin
it.
Bacon.
I love it.
So
I love
they're
it.
like, "Oh, you guys want a burger?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "What's your name?" And I'm like, "I'm Lucas." And he's like, "But this is Kevin." And he's like, "Kevin, what? Your name is Kevin?" And he's like, "Yeah." He says, "I'm gonna give you a free burger
Oh,
just because
no
your name is Kevin." And I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
"Oh, that's awesome!" Like
You're
this.
I should have said my name.
I
was
love
Kevin.
that.
Right.
I know. You're kicking yourself in the ass. Damn it.
But the great thing is that like that's the kind of vibe you get when you
Yeah.
go there, right?
Yeah.
These people are just so like happy.
That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah, and
I
it
love
just
that.
like if there's anything that's going to fill your cup, it's other positive
Yeah.
people,
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
right?
Yep.
So, and one of the biggest things I preach to people is that like be the energy that you want to attract,
Yeah.
That's right.
right? And
Because
so
the world is going to mirror you.
exactly,
If you say there's nothing out there, then all you hear is there's
Nothing.
nothing out there.
yeah,
So is this sort of like manifestation?
Yeah.
Like kind of throwing that positivity up?
I
in-
think that's the new trendy word for it.
Yeah.
I would say it's building the life that you want, right?
Yeah.
Because one of the biggest things that we have in our society nowadays is that everybody's saying you can't do this or you can't do that.
True.
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But why?
You can do anything you want.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of
And
who
why?
are you listening to.
Like, why are kids forced to go to school every single day and be a subject to bullying or whatever? Like, when I was in school, I felt like it was a jail sometimes. Like,
Well, I mean, I think it's.
I don't think that we have been teaching our kids the proper things.
Yeah.
Like society. Like, are you going to conform to society because you saw how hard it was for your parents to make money, so you know how hard it is because that's all you've experienced, so that
Yeah.
you're going to manifest that back to you. It'll always be hard to make money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But or go to a job every day just like my mom did, 9 to 5. Like, that's what I'm supposed to do. but it doesn't have to be.
Because it's learned behavior.
Yeah,
Right?
It's family
It's-
dynamic, and learn because you learn. That's who you learn from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like that you're looking at your parents and you're going, okay, well, this is what they did, so I guess
So
I got to do the
obviously
same
it is.
thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's then changing that thought process
Well,
and saying, I
yeah.
can do whatever I want. Like you're a musician.
Yeah.
Were your parents musicians?
My dad was like it was a hobby for him.
Okay.
But music was like his music was in the church, so he always played piano and in the church.
Okay.
But yeah, he didn't want me to do music.
No.
I know he didn't.
But
Because
it's your
he knew-
passion, though.
But that's right.
Right.
Oh, that's a whole big thing I had to overcome.
Okay.
What are other people thinking of what I'm doing in my life? And why do I care about what other people
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's
And
like,
do you
okay,
still care what other people think?
No,
Good for
I've
you.
learned so much now.
Yeah.
And I look at myself and I look at the people who second guessed me and where they are. You know, maybe they're going to a job that they hate every day, but I get to make my own hours. I wake up and I write songs and I can be creative and flexible with myself in order to, keep that consistency, the creative going.
Yeah.
And I make money when I'm sleeping now.
Yeah.
I love
like-
it. That's
well,
amazing.
And you're the same thing, right? You have your own business. You run.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
Your
I
own
run
stuff.
I have two businesses that I run on my own whatever
What are
schedule
they?
I want. So
Yeah.
I've got the Evolve Mindset Coaching, which
Yeah.
is I started 2 years ago.
Evolve Mindset Coaching.
Evolve Mindset Coaching. So I'm trying to spread better positive thinking for people
Okay.
Yeah.
and to have a different mindset on how they look at their life.
Yeah,
right?
like a life
Because
coach.
well, here's the thing is that everybody's dealt some shit in their life.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah. 100%.
Always.
Yeah.
And I always joke, I'm like, life is about like standing in front of a wall and shit's just being thrown at you.
Yeah.
Right?
How are you
and
gonna
at
take
first,
it?
and at first you're standing there and it just keeps hitting you and you're not moving. You're like,
Yeah.
what am I doing here? But then like if you learn that you can dodge it, you may not, you're gonna get hit by shit. But not all of it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. True.
And then when you
True.
do get hit by shit, you're just like, okay, I can wipe it off my face and
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
keep going,
you're
right?
not gonna die.
Right. So, like, having that thought process of, like, okay, you know what? Like, everybody's had their struggles in life, but how do you get past those struggles?
Love it.
And my history, like, I'm not a doctor. I don't have any certifications as a coach. But what I've gone through in life, you can't learn in a book.
Well, that's it.
And so, and I've succeeded
Yeah.
at being happy in
Yeah.
life. I don't need $1 million. I'd like $1 million. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Of course.
But I don't need it to be
Yeah,
happy.
to be
That's
happy.
right.
Right? Because people associate happiness with money.
I know.
100%.
yes.
Right?
100%.
But our life isn't money.
Yeah.
Our life is like if you took your life, it's like 8 gardens, right? You're like there's so many different versions of you because there's the health version of you.
Yeah.
Like this is like your health part and this is your environment part. Like what's your environment and where are you putting yourself
Yeah.
and what's it doing to you, right? Some people stay in places where they're miserable. Like you said, they're in a job
Yeah.
they hate, but they don't want to change it.
Yeah.
Well, why?
It just takes
Do
the-
nothing to change it.
Right.
Yeah.
But they
Yeah.
want change, but they won't
Yeah.
do anything to change
Yeah,
it.
so they'll just stay miserable.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
I know.
and it's not that they're miserable. It's not necessarily that they're miserable. It's
No.
just they don't have the tools or they don't understand how to change
Yeah.
what they're doing.
I think we all know people who are like that.
Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
members.
Well, exactly.
What are you doing? Are you taking my mic apart here?
There, so you can have it now.
Oh, thank you. So I can hold it like this.
Yeah, just so.
Pinky, pinky.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I got my pink microphone and my pink headphones and my leopard print.
So
I love it.
So what made you want to
Do coaching?
start? Yeah.
So, again, I've gone through a lot of things in my life.
Yeah.
I'll give you like a little quick synopsis. So when I was born, I was born into a very hateful family.
Yeah.
Something I had no control over. But I was always like happy. I was a happy kid, even though like it was like shitty situations. I was like, like there's just, this isn't for me. And I adopted this mindset as a kid, and I don't know how I did it, but I'm really glad I did, was this isn't for me. And if this isn't for me, I'm going to go find what is. Because I knew that wasn't
You
going to
didn't
feed
want
my
that for
soul.
your life.
Yeah,
No.
you didn't want that.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I moved out. I was 13 years old.
And you were 13 and you moved out?
Yeah, I was living on the streets here in Ottawa.
Wow.
Yeah, for 4 years I lived on the streets from 13 to 17, and a lot of people are like, how do you live on the streets at 13? And I'm like, you just do.
You do.
Yeah.
just
I didn't know what to do,
Yeah.
but I knew I had to survive. And so, like, being on the streets, I slept under stairs in the cold winters, and you know how cold the winters are here. It was horrible.
Wow.
But it showed me that I had the resiliency to, like, figure something out.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
then
yeah.
4 years in, like 13 years old, you're not a very smart kid. Like, you don't have a lot
Yep.
of knowledge.
Yep.
My parents, like, both passed away when I was, like, in my 20s. But they weren't very good role models.
Yeah.
As a parent, they were great role models as lovers. Like,
Yeah.
they loved each other.
Yeah.
But man, like, the worst examples as parents.
Really?
Really
dear.
horrible. Like, and I don't hold any grudges.
Yeah.
But I was like, this is not healthy at all. So at 17, I had met this guy on the streets, and he's just like, hey, like, what are you doing on the streets? And I'm like, well, what choice do I have? Like, I don't have an education. I don't have the knowledge to set myself up. And he's like, well, listen, I have a couple that I rent a room from, and you can rent a room from them, but you'd have to go back to school. And I'm like, well, first off, how do I pay for rent if I don't have a job?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do I go to school? I don't know any of this. And he's like, well, we can figure that out. So he's like, would you like to meet them? And I'm like, well, I knew that the streets wasn't meant for me either.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I got to take that next step and say, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
I know there's something better out there. And I
And it
went and found
came,
it.
yeah.
But I had to go find it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I can't just say there's something better out there for me and then just to say, oh, well,
Just wait
Yeah,
for
of
it.
course.
yeah, it'll show up on my doorstep,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, I've always believed that we have to be the initial step taker, and then find the people that are going to put their hand out and say, hey, you know what? I will help you
Yeah.
to get where you want to go, but you got to put the work in.
That's right.
And I always knew that. Like, I
So
was
this
like,
guy was that hand for you.
he was side hand in a
Yeah.
sense, because the couple that I moved in with, they became very, like, they were a big impact in my life.
Oh, great. Okay.
So they,
Good.
like, I came to the house and I was just like, okay, well, if I rent a room, how do I pay for it? And they're like, well, you go on welfare. And I'm like, what's welfare?
Yeah.
I didn't even know what
welfare?
welfare was, right? Like, so, they explained it to me, and then they're like, but you have to go to school. You have to register for high school. And I was like, okay, I was 17 years old, no high school.
Yeah.
And I had to go into grade 9.
Oh,
Now,
damn.
now imagine 17-year-old sitting in a classroom with a bunch of 14-year-olds.
You're just like,
Not that I was a giant, I'm a short guy. So, but the thing is that, like, the life experience that I had, and sitting with 14-year-olds that are just, like, coddled by mom and dad,
Yeah,
and, like,
yeah.
life
Yep.
is good.
Yeah.
Like, they don't know what I've gone through. So I'm sitting there going, like, I want to punch all of you guys.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'm
Yeah.
and I was angry at that point. Like, I had a lot of anger in my
Yeah.
life of what happened to me. I didn't understand why it was happening to
Yeah.
me, but it was just like, I knew there was anger.
Yeah.
So, and it was the emotion that I attached myself to, because it was how I defended myself, right? Like, when I knew I was being mistreated by my parents, I was like, this isn't cool. So I'm
Yeah.
going to fight back.
Yeah.
But then my parents use that against me, and they're just like, well, you got a bad temper. And I'm like, well, how else am I supposed to protect
Yeah.
myself?
You don't know
yeah.
how- any other way to react, right?
Right. Well, I didn't know how to,
Yeah.
I didn't know how to deal with my emotions.
Yeah.
I wasn't given that nurturing
Yeah.
as a kid, right? So these, like, and their names were Peter and Linda, and they brought me into their house, and they set me up at school, and they've been, like, they were amazing. Like,
Aw,
so
that's
amazing.
great.
They taught me a lot of lessons that I needed to learn, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't like some of them,
Yeah.
but I was just like, I have to learn them. And they were just a great family. And then we moved. We were in Bell's Corners, and so I got into school. I didn't last 2 years in school. No, like, my mom died. I was 20, and that's when I dropped out. I was just
Yeah.
like, like, I can't sit in a school. Like, when my mom died, it was like a light went on. I was like, who's taking care of me?
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah.
So I really have to
Came
get
to
my
that
shit
realization.
together. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we moved closer to Maryville High School, and they told me, come. You're coming in with us, and you'll have a room in the basement, and you just pay your rent. So I was like, cool. And that's when my mom died, was when I was there. So I was lost. Like, I was just like, holy shit. Like, even though, like, I didn't have a relationship with my mom, it was very enlightening to like see that loss, because I'd probably been to 7 funerals already by the time I was like
Jesus.
13 years old.
Jesus.
And like there was a lot of death in my family because my family was very old,
Okay.
right? Like my dad was 42 when he had me.
Oh wow.
Oh,
and,
okay.
And my mom was, I think, like 27 or something like that. There was like a big age
Yeah,
gap
yeah.
with the two of them.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, so I think my mom was my dad's secretary. Yeah,
Oh,
want to work some overtime?
there it
Wink,
is.
wink,
Yeah,
nudge,
seriously.
nudge.
eh?
Nudge, nudge. At least they.
Damn.
Well, at least they loved each other.
Well,
Wow,
that's
it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so,
it.
and I was the youngest of 4 kids.
Oh,
right?
you were the baby.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I was the youngest of 4.
4 kids.
Yeah.
Wow, that's like attic.
That's us,
4
4
kids.
kids.
It's crazy,
Addicts
right?
family.
It is. It's wild.
Nuts.
So, but the thing is like I didn't have a relationship with my brothers and sister. I didn't have a relationship with my parents. I had closer family outside of the house than I
Yeah.
did inside of
Yeah.
it. There was only one woman that really had an impact on me as a kid, and that was my grandmother.
Aw.
And she was like, she always tried to protect me.
Yeah.
And I heard, like, my mom's sister told me the story that when I was young, my grandmother and my aunt tried to adopt me away from my mother.
Oh,
Wow.
really?
It was a very violent home.
Okay.
Like
Yeah, yeah.
the beatings I got and the punishments I got
Aw,
were
man.
they were shitty.
Yeah.
But I was just like again, I knew this wasn't normal.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Something told me this
Yeah.
isn't where I need to be. So I found out that my aunt and my grandmother tried to adopt me away from her, and my mother said, "If you try to take him, I'm going to cut you all off."
Oh, really?
So they backed
isn't
off.
that
So they-
isn't
yeah.
that the crazy thing that some people use family as weapons
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah.
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 So my grandmother, she passed away in '87, and that was when I was 13, and that's when I moved out.
Oh, okay. That was
Right.
going to be my next question to you. I'm like, why didn't you just go to your grandmother? But okay. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
she lived in Montreal,
Yeah. Oh,
right?
okay,
And
okay.
my parents were here in Ottawa because
Yeah.
we were in Montreal till I was 11, and then
Okay.
we moved here, and then things got progressively worse with
Yeah.
me because they took things away from me in Montreal that I had resentment for,
Yeah.
and I knew it. Like I was angry that you took that away from me. Why'd
Yeah.
you take that away from me? There was a lot of nurturing that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And you need that growing up at that age.
100%.
Right? Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So, like how do I say it? Like, I looked at it and I said to myself, okay, like my grandmother's passed away. That's life,
Yeah.
right? I'd gotten used to death very early in my life. So I was like, you know what? It's life. We got to keep going. So with Peter and Linda, going back to Peter and Linda, like they took me into their house and I was trying to get through high school and it was very tough because I'm so old compared to
Yeah.
everybody in my classes.
Yeah.
And so when my dad called me and he's like, yeah, mom just had an attack she was at my sister's wedding and she had 2 brain seizures at the
God.
wedding.
Goodness.
Oh God.
Yeah, I wasn't invited, so I didn't even get to see
Okay.
it. But I was like,
Some
hey,
more family
I know.
Yeah.
trauma there.
Yeah, I know.
yeah,
Unpack that.
two of my siblings didn't invite me to their wedding, and I was just like, okay,
Fuck you. See
yeah,
you later.
yeah, I mean,
Bye.
bye. I don't have to
Yeah.
buy you a gift. I'm good.
I mean, I'm saving money. That's perfect.
Yeah.
So like when she did, like she got sick, and I remember the morning that my dad called me, and he's like, and I was waiting for a girl to call me that morning. So like the phone rings, and I'm like, hey baby, and my dad's like, no, it's not
No.
your baby, and I'm like,
Stop that.
oh, and I'm like, Dad, why are you calling me? And he's like, well, mom had an attack, like she had a seizure at the wedding, and they've had to fly her to the Ottawa General. She wants to see you. Now my mom and I hadn't
Wow.
talked in 4 years.
Okay.
And I was 20 years old. I think it was September 9th that she had the attack. And she died December 1st that same year. So like 2.5
Oh,
months.
Mm.
But she would wanted to see me. And so I went to see her. A little bit of hesitation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. I was going to ask about that. Like, that's,
A little hesitation, but a
which
little
is,
bit of...
but you know what? That's natural to have that hesitation at the same time too, right? Especially after so many years of not having any type of conversation or anything, right? It's fine to have that hesitation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did go, and like my mom, like I remember this like it was yesterday, and she said like she sit beside me, and I'm like okay, and then she's like I want to say something before any conversation happens. I'm like okay, I'm listening, and she's like, can you forgive me?
Oh wow, that's heartbreaking.
That makes me cry.
I know.
But the great thing is, and I think back, I've thought about it a lot since I started my coaching, was I didn't even hesitate, and I said I forgive you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it was because I was so naive.
Yeah.
Because if, as an adult, we would have judged that whole scenario in a
course.
different way.
Yeah.
Of course.
But I was so naive, so dumb.
You were so
Yeah.
young, and
that I was just like, yeah, Mom, I'll forgive
Yeah.
you, So the
Yeah.
next 2.5 months, literally, I spent as much time as I could just sitting and shooting the shit
Just
with my
sitting.
mom, right? And just
because
whatever.
you hadn't in 4 years. So,
yeah,
yeah,
And the whole like 20 years that
yeah.
wasn't a very healthy
Wasn't
relationship.
good.
Yeah.
Right. So like some of the punishments my mom put me through, like people would cringe.
Yeah.
It was-
Really?
Yeah.
See, I
She never
get,
got beaten as a kid.
No.
I
No.
get so upset with myself when I put him in timeout,
Oh my.
Oh yeah.
That's nothing.
Oh yeah.
and he goes, "Oh, and
And
I'm
just-
so sad, Mommy, I love you," and then I'm just like, "What?" I just don't understand how anyone could treat a child like.
It's you know what? I think it's got something like I grew up in a very disciplined household as well.
Yeah.
So it's just it's something that you learn it.
Yeah.
Right? And
It's learned
learn
behavior.
It. Yeah, it's just learned behavior and yeah.
But
I grew
not
up in
saying
a very
you
disciplined
don't-
household.
You get like, you have like an anger reaction, like it's like a light switch. It's just like, "Rah."
Well,
It's like when you're mad, it's like all of a sudden you're just explosive.
Yeah. Well, again,
And then,
you
like-
when you just grow up angry,
Yeah.
you just
Well-
kind of have that natural response.
Yeah, either
I've gotten a lot better. Trust me. You're welcome.
yes, well, you're welcome. Actually,
It's interesting though, because like I used to be angry as well, and I used to
Yeah.
have a hair trigger. Like,
Yep.
oh man, like
Yeah.
you pissed me off, and there was like it was a bitch switch. That's
Yeah.
what I used to
Yeah,
call
that's
it.
a
I
good-
love that.
Flick
Okay.
it on because
Yeah,
it's on,
done.
and then
Yeah.
when I'm done, I'll turn it off. Right, but it's literally just
Yeah.
a switch.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's gone for me. Like I have a bitch switch, but it takes a
that's
long
awesome.
time to
Get
turn it
there.
on.
Yeah.
Right, and then I also know how to turn it off very easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I always give people what they give me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so
Yeah.
my behavior is a reflection of your behavior.
100%.
And so it's
100%.
easy.
Yeah.
It's super
Yeah.
easy.
So that's
Exactly.
kind of what brought you to get the coaching, like you just to kind of help people navigate through some of those not necessarily emotions, but kind
Traumas.
of traumas to get through, like to the end life goal. It's to be happy, to be free, so to speak, to
have a better life.
Yeah, to have a better life.
to focus on the
Yeah.
things that are going to fill your cup.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that's because I could have easily like I remember when I opened my first business, I was 32 years old, and my mom's brother-in-law, my uncle, he's still alive. He used to work at NRC, and he was like a kilometer away from my office. And I remember him walking into my office, and I was shocked to see him. I'm like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "I wanted to come and congratulate you." And I was like, "For what?" And he's like, he says, "If there's anybody in this family that I thought would have like shot themselves on the street, it would have been you."
Wow.
And he says, "But instead, you're opening a business."
yeah, you fucking crushed
Yeah.
And you're crushing it,
Yeah.
and that's it, right?
That's
and he
awesome.
like he gave me he shook my hand, he gave me a hug, and it really made me feel
Yeah,
good. I was
well,
just like,
that's
and
a-
I wasn't insulted by the fact that he says like you could have shot yourself,
Yeah.
because I could have, like,
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you've
Yeah.
been there.
yeah, and
You
I
know.
was but instead of
You know how
focusing
it
on the
feels.
negative of what happened to me, I was like, what did I do to get
Yeah.
myself out of
Smart.
it?
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
So if I can do it, and I don't think I'm like better than anybody, I know I can teach other people to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's wicked.
Right.
That's
so,
wicked.
and I've always had that passion
Yeah.
because with everything that happened to me, like I'll just, again, a couple of snippets. As a kid, like my mom would feed me Tide laundry detergent, like by the scoopful,
What the fuck?
because I would tell her to fuck off. And I would be like,
And
"Fuck
she'd make you eat
Oh
it?
yeah, eat it. Like,
I mean, I understand that if you could be like, don't you do that, or you can, or you eat this, but like actually,
yeah.
because that's not good.
No, like most
it's
people
poison.
nowadays, that
They
you're going
die.
to jail. You're going to jail for that,
and,
right?
And the kid would be, yeah.
Right, but again,
yeah.
I didn't know my mom's history, so
Yeah.
I didn't like it. It's not like I understood that at that
Yeah.
age.
No,
but
we
that's
don't.
what. But I thought this was normal. Like in
Yeah.
that household, like
Yeah.
getting fed laundry detergent, or if I did something wrong, she put me on my knees in the corner on a broomstick.
Holy Jesus.
On a broomstick,
On a broomstick. Like I'd get up and there'd be
You'd
like
have little
indents into my kneecaps, right? So
Wow.
thankfully I don't have any knee problems.
Thankfully.
Yeah.
But like I'm like, Jesus, like, okay, this isn't normal
Right.
for
it's
a
learned
family.
behavior,
Yeah.
right? It was
Yeah.
that she
Well,
got
the
on
thing is,
board.
maybe your mom was treated that way when she was a kid, so
No.
she didn't have the
No,
love.
she had a good family. Like
Really?
I heard like my mom was promiscuous when she was younger. I definitely got that from her. But like back in those days, it was very like frowned upon if you got pregnant as a teenager.
Yeah.
Right.
Right,
And
yeah.
so she was shipped to Detroit out of Montreal from my grandmother
Oh.
to
Wow.
give birth to the child. Right.
Wow.
So nobody knew. And it was like, oh, like nobody's going to know that you were like
You're
sleeping
just
around.
gonna go away for a little bit. And
You're
then
gonna
come
go
back.
away, have the baby, and come back, right? So I don't know if there was resentment between my mom and my grandmother for that,
Yeah.
but that's not something that I could really decipher,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I've learned more of it in the last 20 years than I have in the first 20 years of my life. Like, I
Right.
didn't know-
Stories are kind of coming out from family members.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's it's like a big puzzle, and
Yeah.
then it's like, oh look, this piece is gonna go right in
Yeah.
here, and then it's
Yeah.
like, oh, that makes so much
Yeah,
more sense
for
now,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
And my mom was diagnosed. Like a lot of people think she was bipolar,
Yeah.
but back then it wasn't diagnosed.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody-
Right.
Yep.
Nobody knew, and so if that was the reason, that's okay, but that doesn't mean I'm just gonna let it be.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that it was justified. It
Yeah,
just
no.
means that
you just
I didn't know her
understand a little
story.
bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, like so. Again, there was no hate,
Mm-hmm.
but to me, it was easier to just walk away from something and
Yeah.
say it's not for me. Time to go.
It's amazing how you're not able to carry that hate like forward.
Yeah.
Like because
Because I carry hate.
Yeah, you do.
pretty well.
yeah. I don't want to
My
I
family
wasn't
is
gonna point
broken.
you.
Yeah, I don't let it go, and I
no.
also forget, or I also don't forget things.
Oh, I know you don't.
But the thing is, though, how do you feel when you carry that?
I feel hate.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
feel hurt,
Yeah.
and you have to actively tell your thoughts to think other things. Like I find that this summer my family went through a devastation, kind of two at the same time. Anyway, I didn't know how to process it, and I'm still processing it. I threw myself into something that I wanted to do, which was create a fish pond.
Okay.
And I just like, it's like in a way of dealing with what I was going through, it just made my mind think of something else.
Okay.
Like, it was a great way for me to just do other things, because it's not like I have a routine. I don't get up every day like at 7:30 and go into work. I get up when I get up, and then I decide what I'm doing, and that's alone, like that's a lot of things in your mind that you're just kind of holding yourself, and you're like, so you can either go down that really traumatic road, or you can try and find ways of dealing with it and telling yourself what are the good things. Yeah, there's shit that we all have.
Yeah.
But like, what are you grateful for? And that one of the highest vibrations is grateful, being grateful and
Yes.
authentic. And
Yeah.
but like, it's hard. You really have to actively do something about it. Like, it's not just going to happen, like you said. It's
No.
not just going to
Yeah.
come out of anywhere.
You have to learn to deal with it, right?
Well,
Yeah, and it's fight or flight, really.
there's fight or flight, but there's also the forgiveness portion, right?
Yep.
But people think that they have to forgive the other person.
Yeah.
But what I tell people is forgive the younger version of yourself.
Yeah.
Because you just didn't know any better.
Yeah.
Right? And it kind of lets go of a lot of stuff, because like when I was younger, I was very angry with my parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like I sit back and I can say I forgive them, right?
Yeah.
But I also forgive myself because I had no control.
Yeah.
Yeah, what else was I going to do? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like, because a lot of people are sitting there like, oh, I didn't do this and I didn't get to this
Yeah.
point, or I haven't reached this level in my life. And it's like, well,
That's
hold
like
on a
guilt
second.
and- yeah.
Forgive that version of yourself, because
Yeah.
that version of yourself didn't know. But now, obviously, if you're talking about it, you're aware,
Yep.
you're observant,
To be aware. is
and
a
you can
big
change
thing.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if you're aware, you can change it.
Exactly.
If you just push it to the back and say, oh, I'm not going to deal with it, it just becomes this like 15-layer cake
Yeah.
that just smacks you in the face every time you hit that
You
trauma.
can't live on Fantasy Island forever. Okay? The moral of the story.
Don't you tell your mom that all the time?
Because she does. She lives on Fantasy Island, and when she wants to talk about the stuff that's happened, I'll know because she'll bring it up. Because I'll try to talk because it's good to talk.
Yes.
Yes,
and
100%.
I feel that people. I don't know. I was just born that way. I can't not talk when I'm mad. But she just kind of like floats on by and just like presses it all down,
Right.
Oh no, I don't want to talk about it anymore because it makes me mad. And then you're like, but then we're not gonna go anywhere,
Right.
Like talking is that therapy.
Yeah,
Therapeutic.
100%. Yeah, for sure.
Well, the thing is 99% of the people just want to be heard.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yep.
Right? You don't have to
Yep.
come to an agreement.
Nope.
You just want to be heard.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Validation.
and that's where the forgiveness comes in. Because
Yeah.
you could listen to your mom and say, Mom, you know what? Yeah,
Yeah.
that sucks. But I forgive you and you should forgive yourself and move on.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly. And that's the
That's a fair
hardest
point,
thing to
yeah.
do for some people is forgive themselves.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that's one of the reasons why like coaching is so important to me is that
Yeah.
like we forget to take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
We're always first to take care of everybody else. But
Yeah.
like, look at when you take a flight, what do they say? Put your
Yeah.
mask on before you put your kid's
That's
mask
a fair
on.
fucking point.
Right? Because if you don't take care of you, who is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I want to teach people take care of yourself first. There's
Yeah,
no
I
guilt
love
involved. There's no
Yeah.
you're not putting yourself on a pedestal,
Yeah.
but you're taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
Which is huge. And I saw so you have an Instagram.
Yes.
What is it?
Evolve Mindset Coaching.
Evolve Mindset Coaching.
Yeah.
So I saw a story once. You had like a little community that you put together.
Yeah.
And you guys were putting together like a board.
Yes.
Like, is that like your vision board? I think.
Well, there's two things. I have a mastermind group that I meet with every week.
Nice.
Okay, and we
Okay.
meet online, and
Okay.
like I had a group in the U.S., I had a group in Canada.
Oh, it's awesome.
But what we do is we hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
But not just on the good shit, like on the bad shit too. Like
Yeah.
if I'm having a bad day, like I went through a bad breakup last year. And I was a wreck. Like I couldn't get my brain straight, right? But I'd get in these meetings and I could cry in this meeting, and I could
Yeah.
yell, and I
Yeah.
could be like, "That bitch," like
Yeah.
whatever.
Just let
But
it
they would then give me different kinds of feedback,
Yeah.
right? And it really helped keep my brain on the positive side because I knew I had a safe place,
Yeah.
to go
That's huge,
and
man.
let go,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
no judgment,
Yeah.
and all of us talk about personal, business, everything. Like we talk about everything in our lives. Like one of the girls, she got pregnant,
Yeah.
and we were literally the second person
that
to
she
find
didn't
out.
Oh, that's
She told-
awesome.
Yeah, because her husband knew first,
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But then going through the pregnancy with her,
Yeah.
like
Oh,
through
yeah.
every week was
It's an amazing community.
it was
Yeah,
awesome,
that's
right?
amazing.
The best story was like her kid, like she's got an older guy and he's like 3 or something like that, but he kept breaking the toilets. Right, so her husband would put the toilet out on the lawn, and she'd get on the call, and she's like, "Fuck, there's a toilet on the lawn again." And we're laughing because we're just like, "Oh,
that's
my
funny.
god, it's like
a potty."
Yeah, no, like a full toilet. Like he would break the handle because he was flushing it too hard. So they went through 2 toilets in a matter of like 7 months.
hilarious.
So he puts the toilet out the first time, and like I guess the garbage man didn't pick it up, so it sat on the lawn for like 6 weeks. And she's just like, "There's a fucking shitter on my lawn again." So one of the guys in the group, he's like, "Do you want me to come over and take a shit in it so that he really gets it off the lawn?" And she's like, "No, but we'll get it
please.
off the lawn, right?" And then
Thanks,
sure
though.
enough, a second one shows up, and he broke a second toilet. So
That's
we were just like, "Oh, is it
hilarious.
on the lawn? Is it a lawn ornament
How much
now?"
is a toilet these days?
Probably like $300, $400.
Fuck, that's expensive.
Yes.
It's the
Potty
price you pay.
training.
So how did you get the community?
So after my divorce, I was just starting with I was in mortgages for maybe like a year before I got divorced.
Yeah.
And one of the realtors that I work with, she's like, I'm part of this coaching community that I'm in, and I think it would really be beneficial for you to come and join it. And I was just like, I don't know. I'm like, how much does it cost? And she's like, $10,000 US. I was like, what?
U.S.
Like what? 10,000 US. She's like, yeah, 10,000 US, but it's a full year. And I was like, oh, okay. So it took me 7 months for her to finally convince me
Oh, really?
to
Yeah.
join.
Okay.
And I remember, like, I'm on commission based only.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
just went through a divorce. I don't have my house anymore. I lost my job at the casino because of COVID.
Yep.
So I'm like, how do I make up $10,000? And I was like, I don't know, but I'm gonna make it happen. And I just
Love
said,
that mindset.
I was just like, can I do a payment plan? And the company was like, yeah, no problem. So sure enough, I got into this group, and it was a pretty big community, really, really good community, really positive, a lot of like-minded people.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I was always craving was to have people like me around.
Right.
Because everybody I was meeting was negative.
Yeah.
Like, oh, life sucks, and my life, poor me, whatever.
It's like
and-
90% of the people nowadays.
Exactly. So it's like
The
you get
mentality.
frustrated
Yeah.
because you're trying to build that positivity,
Yep, for sure.
but you just can't find it in your area.
Yeah.
Right. So this group was called M1, and it was Rock Thomas. He started as a realtor in Montreal, and then he built his coaching business. So I took the program and I flew through it, but it was a lot of great little ideas, tools that helped me reset my brain after the divorce. And I went to Arizona for a trip. It was a seminar called something about men and women in relationships because of my divorce. I knew I contributed to my divorce. It's not just like my wife; it was me too, right?
Well,
Like I
there's
did a
two
lot.
sides to every pancake.
Yeah.
Well,
That's it.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's
And I
it.
knew what I did to contribute to the divorce. So when I went to it was called Men and Women Fully Expressed. That's what
Okay.
it was
Okay,
called.
cool.
And so I remember going down to Arizona, and one of the like things we had to do was we had to climb Camelback Mountain in Arizona.
Oh wow.
Fuck.
And I'm not a mountain climber.
Yeah.
Okay. Like the only mountains I climb are usually on a woman's chest.
And I've conquered.
Exactly. But this mountain, like at first we were just like, oh, okay, we're just gonna go on a hike. Yeah, no, it was
I'd
not
be
a hike.
s-
It was a mountain, and I was like,
Wow.
I looked up it and I was scared, and I was
So
like,
how high was it?
I don't remember how high, but like it was like rocks
fucking high.
everywhere,
Yeah.
like and like it's not like a path. Like you have to like literally climb across rocks to get up.
So
But
did you have to have like supporters, like
No, no. But I didn't
like
have
real
any.
rock climbing?
I should have had real rock climbing shoes,
Yeah.
which you'll understand why
Yeah.
in a second. Because we went up to the mountain, and like all of us, like there was like probably about 20 of us, but it took everybody a different amount of time.
Yeah.
But we all waited for each other at the top, and we got to the top.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful at the top because it was like just this bonding moment for everybody. And I remember there was this group of like 7 women, and they were probably like in their mid 30s, early 40s, and they're like trying to take pictures, right? And I'm like, I walk up to them, I'm like, yo, you need a photographer? Like, you guys can all pose together, right?
I'm good.
So I'm like, strike a pose, hey, do a glam shot, like be stupid, whatever,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
do it all. And I remember Rock was standing behind me, and he said something to his wife, and he's like, this guy obviously has this knack of, bringing people together.
Yeah.
And so, like, we started talking, and then his wife said to us on the way down, shut up.
Down, shut up.
What do you mean, shut up?
Said to you guys?
Yeah, so all of us.
To
She's
all
like,
of- okay.
all of the people that were, like, going back down the mountain, she's like, all of you, I want you to shut up. This is the exercise. She says, I want you to walk down the mountain, and I want you to compare it to life. And I was like, huh.
Walking down the mountain.
Walking down the mountain.
Okay.
And I
Wow.
was very interested by that. And I'm
Yeah.
like, why do you want us to be quiet? She says, because I want you to focus on what the mountain and life have in common. I was like, okay, interesting. But you're asking like the most talkative guy to shut up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very not easy to do, right? So the women, that group of women that was up there, they were like, oh, like, like you guys are a big group. And we're like, yeah, we're here to work on ourselves. And so she's like, what are you doing here? I said, it's Men and Women Fully Expressed. We're here to work on relationships. And she's like, oh, you're here with your wife. And I'm like, no. I got divorced, and I'm trying to just figure my shit out. Like me. I need to know me because I've never been a 47-year-old single guy, and I don't know what I want. I don't know
did-
what this person holds for me.
Did that like step her back a little
No.
bit? Like she was just like, what the fuck?
No, actually.
Oh, really?
Here's the really cool part. And this is something that sticks with me to this day. Is that so? We started going down the mountain, and like I have to shut up. but
Yeah.
one of the women is following me. Like she's probably like 20 steps behind me. And she's like, excuse me. And I'm like, I'm trying to shut up.
You're like, bitch, please.
I'm like,
Why is
don't
she
give me,
talking?
yeah, like, don't talk to me. I'm trying to do this mountain climb and like go down the mountain. I didn't say that, but I'm like in my head, I'm like, shut up. Just don't say nothing. But because it's me,
Yeah.
she asks me, she's like, can I ask you something? And I'm like, yes. And she's like, so like, you're here by yourself working on you so that you can be a better version of yourself. And I'm like, yes. I said, I contributed to my marriage breakdown and I needed to find myself so that I can be a better man for whoever comes next in my life. And she looks at me and she's like, how beautiful is that? She says, as a 40-year-old woman, to know that there's men your age out there that actually want to improve themselves
Yeah.
gives me hope that I'm going to find a good man.
Oh, damn.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
That 2-minute talk, like it punched me right in the face.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was just like, wow. So I'm like, thank you. Like it made me feel good. And like she trotted on behind me, right? Like she just like, gone. And I'm like, okay, like these people are just flying by me down this mountain. And I'm scared. Like going up was scary. Going down was even scarier.
Oh,
Is
really?
it like steep?
It was steep.
Yeah.
It was steep.
Yeah.
But again, individual rocks everywhere
Yeah.
that you have
Oh,
to like
fuck. Yeah.
climb over. So as I'm coming down the mountain, what happens? I twist my ankle.
Oh no.
Like literally sideways.
Oh dear.
And I'm sitting in the rock, and I remember sitting in between the two rocks, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm hurt, but I'm okay." And they're like, "Do you need help?" And I'm like, "You gonna carry me down the mountain?" They're like, "No." I'm like, "Go ahead, I'll figure out my way down." And that's where that silence and comparing my
Yeah.
life to the mountain climb really hit me, because I felt like me twisting my ankle was the divorce.
Right.
Oh, damn. Okay.
And I had to take a really slow walk down the
Yeah.
mountain
Yeah.
and really analyze where my next step was going to be so that I didn't hurt myself even more. And that's exactly what
Yeah.
happened with my marriage, was that like it broke me, but I still had to keep going. I couldn't just sit
Yeah.
on the mountain and just let it simmer,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I was one of the last ones down the mountain, but I got down to the bottom. And it was slow, and it was like, hold on to a fence or hold on to this and hold on
You
to
gotta
that.
be patient with yourself.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that really helped me say to myself, like, this is a journey.
Yeah.
Right. And so like the divorce sucks, but as long as I keep walking,
Yeah.
I will get to a better place.
Now, do you think that if you hadn't twisted your ankle, do you think it would have kind of... I'm sure it would have given you the same outlook, but it seemed like your outlook was more...
It hit home better.
Yeah,
It hit home
yeah.
better because
Yeah.
like the ankle, like literally the ankle twisting
Yeah.
was like, to me, I compared like immediately, I
Yeah.
just compared it to the divorce.
Yeah.
It's like it was meant to be or something, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Serendipity.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
So-
it.
That's cool. A
So-
revelation.
Exactly. So I got down the mountain. We did this. It was great because the people that I met at that weekend, there's some of them I'm still friends with. We
That's
still talk.
awesome.
We
That's
still
awesome.
promote each other's businesses.
That's
Nice.
And they're just like they're good people. They fill
Yeah.
my cup.
Yeah.
So I ended up finishing the curriculum. It took me a year, and then after I got out of that curriculum, I felt like I had found myself.
Yeah.
Like I did the work to figure out what I needed to either change or adapt or just altogether keep. Like there's
Yeah.
some things I needed to keep,
Yeah.
right? Like my
Yeah.
energy. There was
Yep.
like I'm a smart ass. I love to joke around, but I'm not going to get rid of that just because
No,
I've just
that's-
gone through something,
Yeah,
right?
it's
sure.
part of you. It's your-
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when I finished the course, I felt like I just felt like I'm like, okay, I can help others like do this because I knew I had it in me. When I was 18, the first time I ever spoke in front of a group, I was in high school.
Yeah.
And it was home ec class. Remember when we had home ec?
I remember home ec.
Yeah, home ec was awesome, right? Well, I remember the teacher. I was seeing a psychologist at the time, and the teacher's like, "Okay, I'm going to put a bunch of like topics in a hat, and you're going to pick out a topic, and you're going to write an essay on it." So she goes around the class, and I pull mine out, and it was child molestation. And I pulled the teacher aside and I said, I really want to ask you a serious question. She's like, what's up? I'm like, can I talk from personal experience instead of just writing a fucking story?
Yeah.
And she's like, pardon me? I'm like, yeah, personal
Yeah.
experience over some stupid story. She's like, are you sure you can do that? I'm like, I'll talk to my psychologist.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm strong enough right now to do that.
That's awesome.
So she's like, okay, if you feel comfortable. And so I remember talking to my psychologist, and I said, when it's time for me to present, will you come to my school and sit in class with me? And she's like, yeah, no problem.
did.
Yeah, she had no problem with it. I'd been through like 10 psychologists because I was put in children's aid when I got to Ottawa because of my temper, right? So it was all me, but it really wasn't all me.
Yeah.
But again, it was
And
the
that's
perception.
the way society is.
Yeah.
It's all your fault.
Yeah, here's a pill. Here's a pill.
That's
Shut up.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So I remember in class, the day it happened, like my psychologist came in. She sat in the teacher's chair and at the desk, and I sat on the desk. So I was sitting in front. She was behind me, and I had a full class.
Yeah.
And I talked about how I got molested as a child, and it was by a sibling. So that made it
wow.
like it was very impactful for me. And I remember there was 3 girls that walked out of the class crying.
Wow.
And I didn't get up and like go talk to them. I finished what I had to say, but then when the class was over, I went outside the classroom, and all 3 of those people came up to me and gave me a hug and said, "Thank you for letting me realize that it doesn't just happen to women."
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Wow, that's
Blew
impactful.
my mind.
Damn.
Very
Yeah.
powerful,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I didn't realize at that young age that
Of course.
it was the coach. That was the coach in me,
Yeah.
right? Because it was me saying like, this is how I've dealt with it.
Yeah.
This is what I had to go through, and I'm not angry about it.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Right.
I've even forgiven him to a point, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a
Right.
certain boundary that I've left with him.
Of course.
But I'm not ignorant about it.
Yeah.
Right? It's just life. He didn't have that experience either when he was younger. And what kind of life did he have under my parents?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So objective yet
Yeah.
subjective.
Yeah.
And that impacted me huge. Like I was just like, oh my God, I help people.
Yeah.
Just by talking about it and giving them a different perspective. Changed my life.
You and for you too, you have that gift of just speaking like naturally being able to speak with people and kind of relating. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Just due to past life experiences, I guess. Like
Exactly.
that's-
Yeah. But
Telling
I-
your story is huge too. That's some inspiring stuff.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I love hearing other people's stories.
Yeah.
Right? Like 'cause
Yeah.
that's one of my gifts is that I'm a good listener.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I can
Yeah.
sit and shut up for a little while, even though I love to talk. But I can sit and listen, and then I always think to myself, I'll ask people, do you want feedback, or do you want me just listen?
Just to listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
as long as I've set that precedence at the beginning, I know what role I play.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's gotten easier as time's gone on to listen to people's struggles or listen to the wins they have, right? Like I want
Yep.
people to celebrate their wins with me
Yeah.
because I'm not one of those people that's, oh, well, you did that. Oh,
Like
whatever.
you're genuinely an excited person for them, right?
I am.
Yeah.
Like I want people to
Yeah.
really embrace life
Yeah.
because like in my mastermind group, one of the things that we often talk about is that the average lifespan is 75 years, right? So we get 75 summers, 75 winters, 75 springs, and 75 falls.
Yeah.
How you spending them,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Going to fucking Europe, baby. Going to fucking Europe.
Traveling
That's
the
it.
world.
So going back to Europe, let's hit that for a second. So Europe, I'm going because I'm going to Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
Tomorrowland is the biggest rave in the world.
So what I picture a rave is just like, so you walk in, right? You have a DJ,
Yeah.
you know, you got lights. And tell me if I've never been to a rave.
Okay.
So you got like a big DJ here on a big stage.
Yeah.
Right? You got speakers everywhere.
Yep.
And you got lights everywhere. And then it's like 1 a.m. You're tripping.
Yep.
And you're just loving like the music and everybody around you is like a friend.
Yeah.
And is that right?
It is that.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
and
One love.
it's
That's it.
literally
Yeah,
like
that's
it's
it.
it's a love
Yeah.
fest.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's no anger.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, like I used to be into heavy metal when I was a kid, and I can relate that to my anger when I was a kid because it's angry music. Like you're
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
kill you, yeah, you know. But then
100%.
you get to raving, and it's dance music.
Yeah.
You know, it's like feel good, get
Yeah.
into your bones, and you're just like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm gonna dance. And I don't care what anybody's thinking
Yeah.
because dancing is one of the purest forms of enjoyment.
Yeah.
For
You
sure.
unplug, you don't think about what you're doing.
Yep.
You just your soul
Yeah,
is
you're free.
dancing. Yes.
You're free.
Right? And
Yeah.
that's what I felt, right?
Yeah.
Like that first time I went to the rave with Issa in Montreal, I was just like, is as simple as it is, right? And the second day, we were there for a 3-day festival. The second day, we sat and talked for 9 hours. The stage was like probably like 200 yards away.
Wow.
And we could still hear the music.
Shit.
But it was such a like beautiful, like we just talked about life and just, you know, the things that made us happy and the things that we've, you know, gone through. And like at the end of that, it was like hug, love her so much. Like she's like a sister to me.
Yeah.
And then we just go back to dancing, you know, and it was just like,
And
man.
you probably felt so good. Being able to get a lot of that stuff off of your, and just even talking about some of the good
Just having
decisions.
the connection with another person.
That's it.
Yeah.
Has experienced what you have.
Yeah.
In
But
some
even-
other way.
But
like,
even if they didn't, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like their life is their story.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
and everybody's story is beautiful.
100%.
Right? But it's nobody wants to take the time to listen because they're so focused on all the shit that they're thinking about for themselves and
Yeah.
the negative.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah.
well, you got to do that. Or, you know, like I was joking with somebody I work with this morning and he's like, you know, I love working with you sometimes. I'm like, yeah, when I'm traveling and you're not. Right? And he's like, yeah, he says, you're in that warm country and I'm not. And I'm like, yeah, but you still love me. And he's like, yeah, I do. So,
just rubbing it in.
yeah, but you know, so Europe. Ever since I went to start dance festivals, I found that passion for me. I was just like, this is a place where I can go to recharge my batteries.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't care what anybody thinks. Like they're like, oh, that's all like everybody's high. I'm like, if that's what you think, but I've gone to sober raves. Like I've gone to dry events.
Wow.
And they're great too.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's
It's that dancing, man. It just kind of, honestly though.
Yeah, it
Honestly.
is. And so Tomorrowland being the biggest, like they just celebrated their 20th anniversary last year. And it's like Disney for adults.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Oh.
41 acres.
41 acres?
Yeah, 17 stages.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
17.
massive. Like massive.
Jesus.
Where is it again?
Belgium.
In Belgium.
Yeah, Boom,
Oh.
Belgium.
Boom, Belgium.
Yeah, Boom is the town. Boom.
Wow.
Boom.
That's
I love
good.
it.
Fucking boom going on in Europe, man. That's wild.
Wow.
That's awesome.
One of the hardest festivals to get tickets to, too.
Really?
Right? So, like, when I got the opportunity in December, like, one of my mastermind friends,
Yeah.
right? She's like, I'm dressed as Santa Claus at a mortgage thing I'm doing, and I'm Santa Claus, and my phone's just, like, going crazy. And I'm like, I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, wow, why is she calling me?
Yeah.
Like, usually if somebody in my mastermind group is calling me that much, there's something
There's
wrong.
something going on.
Oh, yeah.
Or they just need to talk. So I'm like, yo, is everything okay? Like, what's up? And she's like, call me. You need to call me. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm like, literally, I'm like, Santa's taking a 5-minute break. I'm out, you know, and I go and I call her. I'm like, are you okay? And she's like, I got access to Tomorrowland tickets. Do you want to go? And I'm like, do bears shit in the woods? And she's like,
go,
she's like,
baby.
yeah, let's go. But now she's already gone.
In Belgium.
In Belgium.
Oh, she's been before.
She's been before. Like my
Okay.
friend's
In
been
Europe?
before. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's always held in the same place.
okay.
Yeah. And so she's like, if I hook you up with this person, like, would you be willing to buy a ticket? I'm like, yeah, no doubt in my mind, right? So I'm excited. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to get a chance to go to Tomorrowland. But again, it's not guaranteed because tickets are hard to get,
Tickets,
Wow.
right? So I call all my friends that I usually go to around the world with, and we go to raves. Like we meet at festivals, and all of us just plop into one city and go to the festival.
damn.
I call them all. They're like, sorry, we can't afford it. Nobody.
None of them?
None of them.
Did it-
Because, but every, like, my friend just got married, so they spent
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
40 grand on a wedding.
yeah,
One
yeah.
got like one of them is, you know, they bought a new apartment, so they're renovating the apartment.
Yeah.
So, and Tomorrowland's not cheap.
Well, to get
just
there,
to
I'm
go to Europe,
assuming
like
it would
flight
be...
and hotel and food and
Well,
drinks.
just
and,
the ticket to Tomorrowland cost me $17.50 Canadian.
holy shit.
Wow.
Yeah, but once in a lifetime bucket list experience.
Yeah,
you know what I
for
mean?
sure.
You gotta
I
go,
mean-
for sure.
Yeah, you spend the money on the things that you're going to experience.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that's what
Yeah.
life is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's
For
an
sure.
experience.
Yeah.
It's,
For sure.
There's nothing wrong with spending money on traveling.
No.
You know, going
But-
into Montego Bay.
But like he was saying earlier, right? Doing that stuff kind of re-energizes your battery.
Well,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like it just kind of
Well, why are we working?
yeah.
yeah.
What's
Yeah.
the point of working
Yeah.
if we're not enjoying
If you're
life?
not going to enjoy
Exactly.
it, for sure,
Right?
For sure.
So, and I work
Exactly.
hard. So
Yeah.
I believe play harder.
That's it.
Yeah.
Man.
Always,
That's it.
you know.
That's it.
So I remember, like, I'm sitting on the phone with the girl that has access to the pre-sale, and she's like, she's gone 2 years in a row, but this year she's not going. And she's like, so we're on the phone, and she's like, "You ready?" And I'm like, "No." Like I'm literally on the phone shitting my pants because I'm like, can I afford this?
Yeah.
And then I know my friends don't want to, like, not that they don't want to go, but they can't.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? And she's like, okay, we're 10 minutes. We're in the queue. I'm like, oh, like I just want to vomit.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's such an emotional moment. And then she's like, do you want it or not? She says, time's running out. I'm like, just do it by
Just
myself.
do it.
Just buy the ticket. She's like, yeah, give me your credit card. I was like, all right. I
All
bought
right.
it. I was freaking out. I was like, I can't believe I got a ticket. Like, and that's
cool.
only the ticket. Like it's that
Yeah, 'cause
ticket
then-
paid for my train from Amsterdam to Belgium. Because they also have a party train.
Oh,
Yeah,
stop.
they have and it's literally the Tomorrowland party train.
I love it.
They even have their own
In
airline,
Belgium.
like their
That's
own
amazing.
airplane.
Wow.
Because it's called the Global Journey.
Oh.
It's a very exclusive like experience.
Experience, yeah.
Jesus, that's awesome.
So
Wow.
I'm just like, oh my god, I can't believe like she's like, I'm like, pick the party train, and then I'm also staying in a tent on the grounds for 3 days.
Oh,
So it pays
man.
for my accommodations
Really?
too. That $17.50 pays for my accommodations, but I'm in a tent
But
on
you're
an
in a
air
tent,
mattress.
yeah.
Right, and there's like.
But you're right in there.
But you're there.
I don't have to leave.
You're
Yeah.
feeling everything. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
crazy.
I'll show you the venue after, like when we're not
That's
on the
wild.
podcast. It's wild. It's
Cool.
like, and I say it's Disney for adults. It's Disney for adults.
That's wild.
Okay, like just
so
mind-blowing.
so right now it's just you going still?
Just me, but my friend Kevin, aka Kevin Bacon, from
Yeah,
earlier,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's like, listen, he says, I won't go to Tomorrowland because he's like, I got to stay in an Airbnb. I'm a princess, and I'm like, that's fair. He says, but I'll tour Europe with you beforehand if you want, and I'm like, I'm in. Let's do it. So he's like, hey, what do you want to do? I'm like, I don't care where we go. Like, let's just do it together. And then I said, I have to end in Amsterdam so I can take the train.
Yeah, yeah.
I said, you go home from there, and then I'll go to the festival. He's like, done. So we decided we've picked France, Germany,
Nice.
Denmark, Amsterdam or Netherlands, and then he's gonna go home, and I'm gonna go to Belgium.
That's
Cool.
awesome, dude.
So I get him for 7 days, and then I go to the festival, and then from the festival I fly home.
how long is the festival?
3.5 days. There, 3 days.
3 days.
3 days. Technically 4 because Global Journey, you get Thursday. There's a whole concert on Thursday
Oh, really?
for just people that are Global Journey.
Oh,
wow.
that's wicked.
That's cool.
So
That's wicked.
it's gonna be like just mind blowing to me, like that. And there's over 600 artists.
Oh wow.
So like
Well,
even
how
all
many
the
stages did you say again?
17.
With 17 stages, you're fucking right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's just wild to know that I'm going.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Yeah.
and I'm excited that I'm going to experience Europe with Kevin because
Yeah.
I love hanging out with him.
Yeah.
Like he's
Yeah.
such a smart guy.
Yeah.
He's driven. He's like me.
Like-minded.
Yeah,
man.
and I'm putting people
Yeah.
around me that feed my soul.
Yeah.
Right.
You gotta, if you want to win, you gotta run with winners.
You know it.
I like that.
I love
If you
that.
want to
That's
win, you gotta
awesome.
run with winners.
It's not
I like
mine,
that.
actually. I can't say that it's mine.
Well, too late.
but I follow this guy on TikTok, and he every morning he's on live and he's going, "Let's go, let's go. If you want to win, you gotta run with winners."
I love it.
You know who I found on TikTok? This guy, and he kind of does the same thing. So every morning he'll post he'll post it. And I forgot what song it is. It's something from Metallica. I forgot which one. But he stands there. He's always outside. Never wears a coat. It's freezing where he is. I'm pretty sure he's in New York. So he'll stand there. The camera's on him. He's like, "All right, Kenny, is the fucking camera on?" And he's just like, "Yeah." He's just like, "Wake up, motherfuckers!" He's like, "It's fucking Tuesday." And I love this guy. I love
Yeah.
this guy. I wish I remember his fucking tag. He was awesome.
That's the
This gets
thing.
me amped up in the morning. you
See,
know?
and it's
Yeah.
funny that you say that because like a lot of people, like as I've only been doing my coaching for about a year and a half, but I'm adapting
Yeah.
to being a coach, and I've always been a bit apprehensive with the internet and filming myself. I'm old school too, so I didn't grow up with a phone in my hand.
Yeah, neither
And
did I.
I'm not used to filming myself
Yeah.
doing
Yeah,
everything.
We've kind of discussed this all the time. Yeah,
we talked about that, and I said like I'm just not used to pulling out my phone, so
Yeah.
it's getting used to that. But also that my energy doesn't need to change because I'm getting on the phone.
Yeah, be you,
Yeah.
man.
But I have to be me, and it's embracing
Yeah.
that because I'm the kind of guy that'll call you first thing in the morning and be like, "Get up, motherfucker,
Yeah.
let's go!"
Yeah.
You know, like I'll just like I'll
Yeah.
be like, "Fuck,
You're
yeah.
ready to roll.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
ready
yeah.
to rock and
Yeah,
roll.
yeah, yeah.
So it's embracing that version of me that I know other people need.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's been probably my biggest challenge as a coach is just embracing all of me
Yeah.
and putting it online.
Yeah.
Because it's scary to me. Like, I'm
For
just
sure.
like, I
It
you know,
is.
do I want to be...
You're
that-
vulnerable when you're online too, right? Because the way that I see it is because we've been kind of doing this stuff for a little while, and it's people want to know you. They don't want to know the fake person behind
Yeah.
the camera,
Right.
right? Like the way we talk in the podcast, the way we talk to each other in real fucking, like, you know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
the way it should be.
Exactly.
But people want to get to know the real you.
Yeah.
The real person, right?
Yeah.
They want a glimpse of what you do on a daily basis and stuff like that, right?
Right.
It's that's exactly what it's just being your authentic self behind camera. But it's difficult.
It is.
Yeah. But
it's
Especially when you're not
difficult.
used to it.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. She's
like,
used to
like
it.
you're not
but-
used to seeing yourself right here on the video. When
Yeah.
you're not used
Yeah.
to that, it's like,
Yeah, it's
no,
weird.
don't.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
weird.
Don't show me myself.
Well, and
It is so funny that we think that we feel that way when we see ourselves.
Yeah.
Like we're so hard on ourselves.
Back to the criticalness of what we say to ourselves,
Yeah.
right?
Like,
And
why are you so hard on yourself? Like you're amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
But even as a coach, like I have those moments too.
Yeah, of
right.
course.
Like
Oh,
we all
we
have
all
those
do.
You're
self doubt
human.
moments.
Yeah, you're human.
And it's like if you surround yourself with the right people, those moments last a lot shorter.
100%,
Yeah.
man.
Right? Like
100%.
I have a coach.
Yeah.
And she'll tell me she's really smart. Like she makes me feel dumb some days. But in a good way,
Yeah.
right? And I tell her that she's like, I'm sorry if I'm so blunt. I'm Russian, and I'm like, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
Russian?
yeah. I said I'm used to that, and I said I appreciate your
Bring
honesty.
me some vodka.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all I say.
You want some potatoes? Here.
Yeah.
Make your own.
But she's like she'll coach me on certain things, and she's like, when you're online, your energy is actually de-amplified.
yeah, 100%.
So you have to actually like take it up a
Amplify it,
notch
for sure.
so that you get your personality across.
For sure.
And like that was like foreign to me.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what do you mean? Like you want me to like almost like have sex with the camera? And she's like, well, yes, but no. And I
Yes,
was like,
but
Keep
okay.
your hands on, but try
We
that.
don't want
you
any
know?
dick pics.
Yeah.
All right.
Right. That's right. Keep those to yourself.
Yeah,
those for
exactly.
certain people.
Yeah. I love it. Right? Yeah, exactly. Know
true.
your audience.
Because there are oversharers online.
yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. For
You know,
sure.
it's like the people that go on TikTok and bawl. Like they just bawl. They just cry and cry and cry. But it's not. You can tell that it's ingenuine.
Yeah.
Because they
doing
just
it
want
for
the attention
follows or
and the follows.
Or yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
And so like with that being said, like it's been a slow,
Yeah.
not slow progress, but I would just say it's a thought out process
Yeah.
Yeah.
of where I'm going with my coaching.
Do you know what this guy Gary Vaynerchuk? What he says is, if you want to create content, just turn your camera around and just press record.
Yeah.
Right. Just
Yeah.
talk about you're walking. You've done this before though too. When you're walking and you're just be like, "Hey guys, it's a great day. I'm going to the gym. I've seen those posts. Those
Yes.
are awesome." Stuff like that. Just little motivational pieces, right?
But it's
Is,
gotten
is big.
getting used to doing
It's
them is the
getting
tough.
used to- yeah,
Getting in
yeah,
the mindset, where
yeah.
you think, oh, that'd be good content for
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Like
sure.
it's a whole the thing you have to
sure.
think about.
And that's the
Weird.
scary part for me
know.
because part of me
You're like-
sits there and goes like, is it ego that's
Yeah.
making me do this? But it's not. Like I'm not leading with ego. I'm leading with like I want
Your
people
passion.
to.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
nailed it.
And
Like,
that's what
for
you
sure.
do. That's what you had to. Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
That's what you should just. The highest vibration is authenticity.
Before
and passion, right?
we're going to be wrapping this up
Blah,
here
blah, blah.
shortly.
Oh, well, wait.
What?
What
We
else
need to
did I
talk
want
more.
to say?
What else? did you
Before, I wanted to ask you. So you're a coach yourself.
Yes.
So how many students do you have?
Right now-
that you talk to and help.
so right now I've got 6 clients that I
Clients,
do
that would be
one-on-one.
Love it.
Wow, that's great.
It is. I feel very blessed
Because it fills your cup too.
It does.
Yeah.
And one of my clients, and funny enough, I was hanging out at a rave with them
Nice.
one summer.
Raves are the place to meet people, man.
Let's just go to raves and meet clients.
Right? Well, I'll tell you, I did meet one client at a rave, and that's how he became a client. Was
Oh,
like he
that's
was just
awesome.
in an emotional moment. He's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I just don't feel like I'm accepted, blah blah blah. And I'm like, I'm a coach. I can help you with that. I can help you get past that. And he's a musician.
Oh wow.
And like he's like, I want to perform in front of somebody one day, and I'm like, okay, well, if that's your goal, let's get you
work
there,
on it.
right?
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
sure enough, like he's doing shows every couple weeks now in
That's
the
awesome.
bars.
That's
And
great.
yeah, and I love like hearing about. He's no longer a client, but we still talk. And I
Okay.
check in and I'm like, hey, how's life?
Yeah.
I see your stuff online. You're doing really well. Are you
Yeah.
happy? And he's like, yeah, dude, I'm loving life. And
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
so I feel really good. But like one of the things that happened was I was at this rave, another festival with this couple, and the wife was one of my clients. And her husband came up to me and he's like, hey, like, I just want to say thank you. And I'm like, for what? And he's like, thank you for changing my wife's life.
Wow.
That's amazing.
But then he
That's
added one
amazing.
little sentence that like took it up a notch. And he's like, you didn't only change her life, you changed our whole family's life.
Wow.
And I was just like, there's no amount of money
Yeah.
that could compare to
Yeah.
that comment.
That's huge.
And I hugged him
Yeah.
and I'm like,
You're like, this is why
I
I'm
love
doing
it. Yeah,
this.
exactly. Like I'm so happy
It's a
to hear
revelation.
something so beautiful come out of somebody that's not even my client.
Yeah.
Right? Like it was
Yeah.
just like it was just giving her thought processes that changed her outlook on what she was doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that was it.
That's
Like
so
I
cool.
didn't do any. She did the work.
Yeah.
I just kind of said like, okay, listen, if you want to bake, I'll give you the spatula.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give you a wrench, right? Because
Yeah.
you can't bake a cake with a wrench,
No,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
fix a car with a spatula,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
so
give
it's all
them the
about the right
tools.
tools.
You gave her the tools.
Yeah, the right tools.
That's amazing.
But then
Yeah.
she used them.
Yeah.
And that's I don't take credit for her improvement. I'm so proud of her
Yeah.
for getting to where she wanted to go.
And in that moment, did you feel like it's like moments like that it's like full circle? It's like, oh, that's why I went through all that shit.
Yep.
In order to get here, and I don't think I'd change it, you know?
No, like people say to me like when I told you guys about what I've gone through as a kid, like there was that, oh, sorry about that, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, no, don't be.
Don't be.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
it was my story,
Yeah.
you know, and that's just what I had to go through. Would I change it to this day? I will tell you, I would never change what I went through
That's right.
ever.
Which is which is
Because-
amazing. But it shaped who you are.
Yeah.
It shaped who
and
you
I
are.
love who I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
I'm nowhere close to perfect.
Yeah.
But I love who I am because I'm genuine. Like
That's what
you're
you-
gonna get the authentic me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I
And-
love about you.
Yeah. And if you don't like it, there's the door.
Yeah. It's around the corner, but yeah, get the fuck out of here.
One of the things I tell people the most is if something isn't working for you or someone isn't working for you, have the mindset of saying do a 180 and fuck off.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they're not meant for you. Not
Yeah.
everybody is meant for you. There's 9 billion people on this planet.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody's going to
yeah,
like
you're
you.
not gonna 100%.
So-
That's a very good way of saying it for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's awesome. So, how if people want to find you, they can find you on Instagram.
They can find me on Instagram, Evolve Mindset Coaching.
Send a message. Do you have a website or?
I don't have a website yet because the next part of my growth as I build my foundation is I want to do online courses.
Okay, yeah.
So that people can actually just go get the course
Yeah.
Yeah.
without me directly
Yeah.
taking the time out.
Yeah.
And so I'm building those programs right now, but I do most of my posting on Instagram, Facebook, because
Okay.
I'm trying to get the
Facebook
message
too.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of just like the thought processes and getting more content out there. Again, me stepping out of my comfort
Yep.
zone.
Yep.
Yep.
I
And I'm
know.
like, oh, I got to get in front of a video. Like
You look good though.
Well,
if
thank
hell,
you.
You look
Thank
great.
you.
I used to teach voice, and that's what I always said to my students: get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes,
Yeah, that's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And once
That's
you get
the
there,
only way you're gonna grow.
yeah, it's a perfect way to grow, right?
Yeah.
And I love that. Like I love watching your story because you're like a musician, and like
been
the struggles that you've
been
gone
a
through.
lifelong love.
Yeah.
Labor of
Yeah.
love. I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
But you keep going.
But I keep going because I love it. Like
Right.
it's because the moments that you just described. When somebody comes up to me and says your songs changed my life,
Right.
it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Which has happened to you too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. So one of my friends now, because of Bottom of the Bottle,
Yeah.
she came up to me and she's like, I can't. Like I would be dead if it wasn't for that song right now.
amazing.
I'd be
Wow.
gone. I would have ended it all.
That just gave me chills.
Yeah.
I know.
Like that just gave me. That's awesome.
I know.
That's
And
so beautiful.
That's what that's the fruit of life. That's what we need to find. Stuff
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Helping each other.
Spreading love.
Yeah. And on that note,
Thank you
wrapping it up.
so much, man, for making the time coming out. We'll maybe have it come out again in a couple weeks. And
Yeah.
there's a ton more we can kind of talk about.
I love it.
You got his socials. That's Lucas Burns. I'm Attic T. That is Brea
Brea Lawrence.
Brea Lawrenson. It's Brea.
That's what Google says.
That's what Google calls her.
That's what Google calls her.
That's it. That's it. That's it.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah,
like
thank
I love
you.
this.
Loved it, man.
Yeah,
I
this
loved
was
it.
super fun.
I loved it. I'm glad you were able
It
to
is.
come
It's
out.
too
I'm
fun.
glad you were able to come out. So I'm Attic T, and we will catch you up next.
It's a
Bye.
whiskey right on from morning till night. It's called a whiskey right on from morning till night. Makes me not wanna work 9 to 5. Some people say it's a problem, but everyone's got 'em. It's the morning till night. When the buzz starts kicking in, that's when I know old habits are back again. But it don't mean nothing if you ain't gonna stay. The whiskey rattle from morning till night. It's called the whiskey rattle from morning till night. Makes me not wanna work 9 to 5. Some people say it's a problem, but everyone's got 'em. It's the whiskey rattle from morning till night. Whiskey rattle from morning till night. Some people say it's in the way that I walk. By Friday night, it's in the way that I talk. It comes out when I'm drinking and the buzz starts to kicking. It's the whiskey rattle from morning till night. Whiskey rattle from morning till night. Makes me not wanna work 9 to 5. Some people say it's a problem, but everyone's got 'em. It's the whiskey rattle from morning till night. Whiskey rattle from morning till night. Whiskey rattle from morning till night. Whiskey rattle from morning till night.